Hey everyone, my name is Al. Welcome to my channel, Kindred Souls of Brooklyn. And tonight you're in for a real treat. We're in Margaritaville on Highway 192 West in Orlando, only about 3 or 4 miles away from Walt Disney World. And you're in for a double treat because tonight we're going to go to a place called El Jefe, which means the boss. And it's a cantina. So they got burritos, tacos, enchiladas, the whole thing. And we're also going to talk about some Batman. So stay tuned for an awesome video here at Margaritaville off of 192 West. Stay tuned. So if you've never been to Margaritaville, this is just a nice little quaint place off of 192. Lots of restaurants. It has to do with the Margaritaville, Jimmy Buffett, who's got a hotel over here. And essentially, you have all these cool restaurants like Ford's Garage. We're going to be going to El Jefe right over here, where the sign is here and where the statue is. I hear this place is really good. Little by little, we're trying every single place in here. They've in here called Yeoman's, which is all English food. But let me show you this right over here. Let me turn you around. See what you think. Here we go. It's El Jefe Tequilas, Taco Cantina. Real nice place. It's a sit-down place. You can't miss it because they have El Jefe right here. And as I told you, El Jefe is the boss. So he guards the outside of this place and oversees everything. So here we go. We're going to go in there and sit down, give you a bird's eye view of that. And there's just a little more look of Margaritaville over here. It's sugar, everyone knows that. That's a candy place. So thanks for coming along for the ride. Let's go inside, take a look. Wow, this is an amazingly beautiful place inside here. Look how nice this is. El Jefe. I'll show you the menu, and there's our company right over there. Look how amazing this is. We'll introduce you to everybody in just a second. Inside of the restaurant right now, we're going to introduce you to two wonderful people who are actually part of our foundation board. Louis and Gina help us out a heck of a lot with the foundation. Proud to introduce them, and you've seen them before in videos, and here they are, Louis and Gina. Louis, how you doing? And Gina, how you doing?
All right.
Great suggestion for a restaurant. It's really nice. Good idea, Gina. Say hi to everybody in TV land out there. So we started off here with some queso and some nachos, which are really good. I mean, these are really fresh nachos. Sometimes you go to Chipotle Grill, and they're kind of salty and all that. These are the right flavor. And the queso is out of this world. I mean, you can make a soup out of that. As Louis dips in. What's your taste test, Louis? What do you think?
Oh, this is my first try, so here we go. Nice and creamy.
Yeah, good stuff. I like it. Hey everyone, so we're here with one of the greatest waiters in the world, Alex Serber. And he's gonna tell you all about the place. And how you doing, Alec?
I'm doing very well. Welcome to El Jefe's Tequilas here in Margaritaville, Kissimmee, Florida. It's a very good environment. We have over 100 different types of tequila, except for the one in the worm. Everyone wants that, but we don't have it. FDA, you can blame them. We have lots of food here, authentic Mexican food. The number one seller is the Molcajete bowl. If you ever come in, it sells itself, and you'll see why when you get here.
Wow, so that's obviously the most popular thing that people can get here.
Almost everybody comes here for the Molcajete bowl.
Really? I didn't know that.
And the fajitas, we're pretty popular.
Okay, because I ended up doing the other stuff, but we'll take a look at that. So you're here every day? They can come by and see you?
I'm here 4 to 5 days a week. You guys come see me anytime, request Alec, and I'll give you guys exceptional service.
Awesome. Is this the only place, or there's other?
This is the only one here. We also have locations in Chicago, but they're different names and different restaurants.
Awesome. Alec, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Take care of yourself. Alrighty. So here you go. Check this out. This is the chicken tacos with the bacon beans, authentic Mexican rice, and these look good enough to eat, and I think I'm going to eat them. And what did Kerry get? Kerry got the enchiladas and the rice and corn. Wow. So we're also celebrating Louis's birthday, a little belated. Happy birthday, Louis.
Happy birthday.
Many more. He's got his little birthday gift there. So I just want to thank them for everything that they do, and they're part of the family.
Too kind.
So hey, welcome to part 2 of the video. We're still here in Margaritaville, down the little alley portion of it, and we wanted to do what we call the Bat Chat. So this is my great friend Louis. He's one of our persons who works with us on the foundation. He's one of the officers in the foundation, and want to say great thank you to him and his wife Gina, who's off camera right now. She's doing the filming, and a shout out to all our family here. So welcome to Bat Chat.
Yeah, so it's been a while since we did one of these, and I said, oh yeah, do you know about Marvel's Batman? We could do one on that. And Al had an idea already on it. And some people have differing opinions because some people view Moon Knight or Punisher as Marvel's version of Batman. But there was a time when somebody tried to make like an official analog version of Batman for Marvel.
Right.
And his name is Nighthawk. That's a cover of the first full appearance of it. He's that guy with the kind of bird-looking mask there at the bottom.
What year did he debut? I can't remember what year it was.
I forget now the exact year. It would have been probably late 60s. No, it was probably 70s. Because at that point, Stan wasn't writing the book. He was created by Roy Thomas and Sal Buscema, and they kind of took over the reins of Avengers.
Right.
It was Avengers number 69 and 70 when it
Right.
showed up.
I mean, for you guys who don't know, I mean, he's kind of like some people would say in a ripoff in a sense of Batman, but he of late has even gotten closer to Batman. And I think one of the big differences, well, it's a kind of a mirrored character to a point, but his backstory is that he's a U.S. congressman, and he by day, and then he kind of turns into this Nighthawk at night, and I don't think he's got the money that Bruce Wayne has, but he's got to have a decent change, right?
He does have that financial backing that he does. What ends up happening, and all that stuff was developed after the fact.
Right.
Initially, when the story came out, it was like a two-parter issue or two-parter story that comes out, and it debuted the Grandmaster, and the Grandmaster you may know from the Thor movie, Ragnarok.
Right, that's right. It was
Jeff Goldblum plays the character. He's very different in the comic books, much more cosmically powerful. But he issues a challenge to Kang the Conqueror, who's kind of showing up now in the Marvel's movies.
Which everybody knows from the Loki series. If you've been watching Loki, he's in the last episode. Yeah.
And they decide to challenge each other. Assemble your team, I will assemble mine, and whoever wins gets ultimate power of a sword. Well, at the time, Roy Thomas tries to create the analog version of the Justice League. Superman, Batman, the Flash, Green Lantern, all these people. And he creates his own version, Hyperion, Dr. Spectrum, the Wizard, Nighthawk. And it was very simple. They just showed up, and you could obviously see some similarities in how the powers work, what they looked like, but they didn't have any personality, really.
Right.
It was just a plot device at that point. As the years go on, all of a sudden they start developing the character, Kyle Richmond, the man behind the mask of Nighthawk. And there were some political aspirations. It's really confusing because there's two versions, well, there's more than two versions of the character, but there's two main versions. That original version, it's an evil Justice League of sorts, right?
Okay.
So Superman, Flash, they're all bad guys. But Kyle Richmond, down the line, he decides to turn on his fellow teammates. And he joins a superhero team, the Defenders. It's like the Avengers, but it was first Doctor Strange,
Right.
The Hulk, and Namor, the Submariner.
Okay. Now it's funny, DC, and I know DC does the same thing, but at no point in time did DC want to sue Marvel for such a copying of the character, because you look at the character as it is today, and he's got a Hawkmobile, and he even has a Batcave of sorts. He even has a T-Rex apparently in the Batcave or whatever, the Hawk Cave, and it just seems such a close mirroring.
The Kyle Richmond of now that you would find in the Avengers book that you can read right now, Jason Aaron's run of Avengers, he more closely resembles a Bruce Wayne of sorts. But no, the both DC and Marvel have a history of kind of borrowing elements from each other, and creating analog versions of their characters. Marvel more so than DC, because Marvel, they didn't come into their heyday until the 60s, when Fantastic Four showed up.
The Silver Age.
The Hulk, the Silver Age. But it's, if you look at both the Justice League and the Avengers, a lot of people think, you've got Green Arrow on DC, Marvel's got Hawkeye, DC's got Black Canary, Marvel's got Black Widow. And there's sort of analog characters, but the Nighthawk and Hyperion of those characters were specifically created to be like mirror versions of the characters. But like they say, parody is the sincerest form of flattery.
Exactly.
Right? One of the most infamous cases of that happening, Deadpool.
Yes.
Deadpool was created, towards the end of the, or towards the 90s. I forget the exact year at this point. But Rob Liefeld shows up to the office and shows Fabian Jefe, who was the writer at the time. Was it him? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. And he says, "Oh yeah, I got an idea for this new character, and this is what I'm basing him off, and this is what he looks like." And he's looking at it and he says, "This is Deathstroke from DC," and he says, "No, this is a different guy, and he's got a different backstory and everything." And he says, "Okay, well, let's have some fun with it." And I realize he's a little bit different. He's still a mercenary, hired gun or whatever. But they start playing with the idea. Okay, there's Deathstroke. He's Deadpool. Deathstroke is Slade Wilson. Deadpool is Wade Wilson. And it's like, oh yeah, unofficially this guy's related to him in some way. But the companies have poked each other, fun at each other over the years in that sense.
And it's mutual.
Yeah.
Just in case you're hearing this in the background, we're actually doing this during a thunder and lightning storm here in Florida. So it's typical to see these 2 or 3 times a day. So it's not your phone or your computer or whatever you're watching it on. And the lights flashing, we're actually just, in the middle of all this. So it's in a little alleyway here. So it's, anyway.
Yeah, we're braving the elements for your entertainment. So,
maybe I'll be struck and be like the Hulk or gamma rays or something. I don't know.
Wouldn't that be something? Yeah. At least we'll have, video evidence.
I'll be able to charge my phone just by touching it.
But yeah, it's funny because out of all those characters,
you know what I find funny about? Well, it's not funny, but like anybody out there, military, who's watching, his sidekick, the Nighthawk, is called the Falcon, right?
Eventually there's a version of it.
It's kind of like the Robin, but I always thought it was funny because like you guys watching, girls watching the military, they call it a Blue Falcon. It's someone who's kind of like in New York City. The guy who gets on the bus who kind of rats out the bus drivers, they call him a beaky. And but a Blue Falcon in the military is one of these guys that he's always reporting people and stuff like that. So I just thought it was weird that they picked the name Falcon in a way because it tends to, a lot of guys, would want to watch that and be like, it could have called it something else, than Falcon.
Oh yeah. And there is some methodology that goes into it. Okay.
Right.
DC has even done this. When Marvel created Nighthawk as the analog for Batman, it's in a way a mirror opposite, right? So what hunts bats is birds of prey or certain hawks. DC took it a step further, and a more direct opponent of the bat is an owl. Some owls are known to hunt bats.
I never thought of that. That's fabulous.
And DC created.
See, he knows his stuff. You guys have a question, leave a comment on the channel. He'll get back to it. This guy knows his stuff.
Well, it's just fun little facts of how these things were created. When the Crime Syndicate was created by DC, and its evil versions of the Justice League, it was Owlman. He's supposed to be the Batman. Yeah, it's a little fun things.
So
like
from the Watchmen, is there any time for that with the Watchmen? With the
Yeah. There's a long history of this happening.
Okay.
And when Alan Moore wanted to do Watchmen originally, he wanted to use characters from a company called Charlton. Eventually, DC bought Charlton and all their characters, but Charlton owned The Question. They owned Peacemaker, who's shown up in the Suicide Squad movie recently.
Right.
They owned the Silk Spectre. And or not the Silk Spectre, I forget now, the Nightshade, who eventually became Silk Spectre.
Exactly.
Since he didn't have the rights to use those characters, he said, well, I'll just create analogs. So that's where you get Warshot, an analog of The Question. You get the comedian, an analog of the Peacemaker. And little bits and pieces like that, and that's how that was
fantastic.
formed.
Yeah, it's great how they can borrow off of each other. Yeah. And it's a mutual agreement. I mean, I guess all the companies do it, Coke and Pepsi, McDonald's, Burger King. I'm sure it's just like, it's one of these natural competitors. And I think if the other one was gone, the other one maybe wouldn't know what to do with themselves.
Oh, yeah. They borrow from each other. And, what's the saying? There's no new ideas, right? Well, you know, if there's no new ideas, you just repackage it and present it a new way, right?
Exactly.
And sometimes it takes off. I mean, Deadpool, I would argue, is 10 times more popular than Deathstroke. And he's really just, in a way, a ripoff of that character. Now, he became his own thing. You know, he's funny and jokey and all that, but, yeah.
It's really amazing. You know, Lewis did a passion project on Batman, and I want him to tell the story, but it's a very inspirational story too, and it's actually really funny because he actually filmed it largely in Celebration, Florida, the Disney town, and he'll tell you the story, you know, and you're gonna really enjoy this.
Well, I'll tell you real quick because it looks like it's raining, but
is it?
One of the scenes I filmed was out in the middle of the woods, and there's a wooden walkway out in the middle of this thing. Okay. Now it looks like you're out in the middle of the woods because you're surrounded by everything. You're no more than 20 feet from a house, or maybe 50 feet from a house. Well, I was playing a version of Killer Croc, and I dressed up as the character. I put on a mask on and a hoodie, and I had a knife because I didn't really have claws to use. Well, here I am at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. or whatever time it was, and holding a knife and a mask, and a lady's coming from her daily walk around the corner, and I realize that she's looking at me, and I'm holding a knife and a mask, and it's just a movie, it's just a movie, and I'm trying to point to the camera and show her that I'm not some criminal out in the middle of the woods trying to mug her or something,
And what's funny is he worked in one of the stores in town for a really long time. He managed a store in town, and he's well known in the community there, and it just makes it that much funnier that, for years, did she really recognize you? And I think you knew who the woman was, right? She actually came into the store and he managed.
I probably did, but the gentleman that I did know, and I don't think he recognized me because at that point I was wearing the full Batman mask with the makeup and everything on. But yeah, I knew immediately. This is a customer, and I was waiting to see if he was Lewis, but thankfully he didn't. And he didn't embarrass me by stopping at the store and saying, "What the hell are you doing running around Celebration in a Batman costume?"
Tell him the name of it. I mean, I'll try to put the link on from here, but tell him the name of it because it's on YouTube,
sure.
And he did it all himself. I mean, Gina, his wife, helped him film it, but there's another whole story behind it where he wanted to get all these people together to play all the different characters. And I mean, we know it's like going out to eat. If you have 5 or 6 friends going out to eat, can you really get them all together at the same time? Especially down in Florida where almost everybody works in the tourist industry one way or another. So long story short, he couldn't get these people together, so he ended up doing all the parts himself, and it's a tribute to just resiliency and faith, because he was just perplexed, and it's like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to do it myself.
Yeah,
so what's the name of it? Tell him the name of it.
It's called Batman: A Night in Arkham. A Night in Arkham, not night, but N-I-G-H-T. And it's just an adaptation of Batman: Arkham Asylum, the graphic novel by Grant Morrison and David McKean. It's a silent black and white film version of that story.
And what he did was he went and he got an app, so the film looks grainy. He actually also looked up a soundtrack back in the 20s. It was a non-copyright soundtrack that was just, so it's got the feel and the look of one of these really old movies that you'd see, from like the 20s or something like that.
Yeah. Most of those songs are all, orchestral pieces from Russia or wherever else I found them. But it was fun to assemble it. And if you're bored and you got nothing better to do, then look it up. But
we're gonna actually cut this stuff because our wives are giving us the is it the death stare?
Yeah, they're
still on the
getting
floor.
wet.
So we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. See you in the next video. Take care of yourself. Thank you.
Bye.